We are so excited to have our sponsor Scalar speaking. The topic of this session will be ad fraud risks in the post-iOS 14 era. This is Vlad Drobotun. Correct me if I said your name wrong, Vlad. But he is the Director of Customer Success at Scalar. And once again, we're so excited to have them. And I'll turn the time over to you, Vlad. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Evan. Thank you, everyone. I'm super excited about our presentation today. And first of all, I would like to say huge thanks for everyone who attending today, and huge thanks to the MGS team who made this possible. Today, we're going to focus mostly on our main topic, ad fraud risks in post-iOS 14 era. But before we start, I wanted to give you some additional context on who we are, what we do, and why you should even listen to us. So Scalar was founded back in 2016 by experts in mobile marketing and data science. And our company is focusing on serving high-tech, data-driven, mobile-first companies and ad tech vendors by protecting them against mobile ad fraud. Currently, we're proudly serving clients like Zoom, Huge Games, Good Game Studio, TextNow, Play Studios, Future Play, and many more. And also, we're integrated partners with most major MMPs. So why do you even need to listen to what we have to say? The most important factor is that we're currently working with many publishers and gaming companies that might living the same challenges and unexpected turns as you do right now. And we might be able to share our experience and give you a lot of benefit by doing so. What we do is we mostly focus on detecting and rejecting mobile ad fraud using the most advanced machine learning technology. So far, 2020 have been quite crazy, and it was quite crazy in terms of fraud. And since January 2019, we actually detected a bit more than 22 million fraudulent conversions in our client and partner traffic and helped them to reject it. So far, we helped to save them from a monetary loss of up to $36 million and have to optimize their campaigns in order to grow sustainably. Right now, Scalar is offering two main products. It's Scalar Performance, our machine learning powered anti-fraud solution that help you analyze your CPI and CPA campaigns and detect fraud. It helps to radically boost your return on investment through regular optimizations and changes in your marketing campaigns. And so far, we're seeing that up to 95% of our findings being rejected and refunded successfully for our clients. In the light of upcoming challenges, we also released a new product that focuses on a slightly different philosophy. It's called Scalar Autoblock, and it focuses not on detection, but rather on prevention of fraud. It offers a suite of tools that will allow marketers to stop fraud on pre-bid level and significantly reduce your eCPIs. It basically blocks fraud before ad impression is even getting served and attributed by MMP and helps you to bid only for realistic and good sources. And another good factor that it's working with Facebook audience networks, most SDK networks, and DSPs. Now, let's jump to the main topic of our discussion, ad fraud risks in post-iOS 14 era. I know that this release was a little bit postponed, but it's not going anywhere and we will have to face it sometime soon. What we know for sure is that ad fraud risks would be definitely huge, and this new updates would create a lot of opportunities for fraudsters. And as you know, opportunity for fraudster means a serious business threat for you as a marketer. Preparing this presentation, we decided to make a slightly different approach and allow you to put yourself in the shoes of fraudsters. What do you think makes people want to do fraud? How do you think they become fraudsters? How a transformation of one person from a regular employee makes them become a fraudsters? You would be surprised, but as most things in this life, business, any crafting skills or any hobbies, everything starts with a YouTube video. And just hours before this presentation, I searched how to set up a phone farm and found millions of links in YouTube explaining in a great detail what should be the risks, what you should take into account. And I even saw a breakdown of return on investment and how much you could expect to get back from your first device farm if you set it up today and let it operate for a full month. It's quite impressive because this type of videos actually create a lot of engagement. And as you could see here, there are more than 43,000 views only for this video. I would say that usually it's a first step in the learning curve, and gradually Froster is getting better and better using more and more sophisticated techniques. We're working with fraud detection on a daily basis and have a pretty good understanding of psychology of fraudsters. And I would like to tell that they are exactly the same humans as you and me. And in many cases, they are not so different from us and go through the same journey. Just like us, they need to consider a business plan, calculate their return on investment, validate their risk to return ratio, and plan ahead. Just like you, they publish applications, sometimes even legit ones, and they drive traffic to get more users to install it and promote it internally. Fraudsters are getting super sophisticated, and we see it by examples of reverse engineering that have been done over the course of years. And even though now artificial intelligence powered tools are widely available on the market, fraudsters are not staying far behind. We've been searching Darknet recently and found this posting that we found absolutely hilarious. It's actually an offer to buy a click hijacking SDK with a special AI update designed to avoid anti-fraud detection. We went through specification of this offer and it actually looks quite good, and this system most likely would work. So far, it has only 3 positive reviews, and you could get it today for only 2 Bitcoins, which is quite crazy. But it shows that fraudsters are getting more and more sophisticated, and they're adding more advanced tools into their portfolio to remain under the radar and protect themselves from anti-fraud solutions. Moving forward, I would like for you to once again place yourself in shoes of fraudsters and try to understand what benefits they would get when IDFA is eliminated completely. First of all, and the biggest factor, is there would be way fewer data points that they need to emulate in order to perceive to be a legitimate install. There would be way less links between clicks and install, and generally would be less data. Right now, we're anticipating that we might even receive most of the data in an aggregated format without any details, making it way easier for fraudsters to remain undetected and continue their fraudulent activity. So far, we see that there is a certain shift happening in mobile ad fraud ecosystem, and fraudsters also, just like you, trying to prepare for IDFA elimination and get the biggest benefit from it. We see that it will be way easier for fraudsters to spoof clicks and installs, and most likely soon we will see more of combined fraud types that would demonstrate absolutely new features previously unknown to the market. And finally, big challenge for marketers and good add-on for fraudsters would be the fact that having less data points and less data in general would result in a fewer evidence for you to start and successfully get a refund for those fraudulent installs, making life of fraudsters way easier and fun, and allowing them to earn more money and drain your marketing dollars. If we're gonna take a look on current situation, how it was, and probably it still is, we see that IDFA that generated a number of installs for different applications but coming from one IDFA could be easily flagged, and this anomaly would be detected pretty much by any solution or internal tool you use in your company. But pretty soon, when IDFA is gone for good, it would all be in aggregated form, and we would not be able to associate specific install with specific IDFA. So it would be some device that delivered specific install, which make it harder and harder to detect fraud and reject it. Moving forward, I would like to show you a few cases that you need to look for and basically explain how fraudsters might try to take advantage of this uncertainty time and time of change. The first example would be connected to attribution fraud and click spam specifically. Most of you are familiar with this fraud type because it's quite old school and been around for a while, but in the nutshell, it's a type of fraud that is executed by spreading fraudulent malware to maximum possible number of user devices. And after the application malware is on, fraudsters are able to send number of invisible clicks through all advertising links available on ad exchanges and on the market in a hope that one of those random clicks would actually result in an organic install, and they would be able to capture attribution for themselves and claim a credit. The most important goal of fraudsters is essentially to steal attribution for your organic installs and make you pay for installs that would otherwise be delivered to you for free. This fraud type will definitely have a bigger chances for success in the post-IDFA world, and I would like to show you a few examples on how it might make a serious dent in your current anti-fraud protection. The first case I would like to dive deeper is the fact that simple rules will simply no longer work with a click spam. Many marketers are currently using rules-based solution in order to protect their marketing budget, and I see that many of them get a lot of confidence because they have a tool in place, it detects certain fraudulent traffic, and they could be confident that whatever they spend would go only to real installs. But with new upcoming changes, unfortunately, it might not longer be the case. Before, whenever a rule-based engine would identify too many different ad clicks made by a single IDFA, it would flag it as suspicious, and that install would simply not be attributed or would be rejected. And it's absolutely possible in a world where IDFA connector is used. The problem is that rules-based engines rely a lot on IDFA, and they make a lot of judgment based on additional performance connected to it. But after iOS 14 update will go live, we will have many clicks coming from different campaigns and CTRs that overall looks good and doesn't look suspicious at all. So the problem here is that multi-touch attribution data doesn't have IDFA links between installs anymore, and analysis and matching might simply not work any longer. So be cautious and prepare for this time, because if you're currently using rules-based engine, you might be having serious problems. Moving forward, I'd like to show you another case connected once again to attribution fraud, but in this case, it's connected to fingerprint attribution that might simply not be enough. Before, we had many different ad clicks coming from several IP addresses with the same pattern made by several IDFAs, and it would be a clear anomaly. No questions asked, it could just go and be rejected immediately. But in a post-iOS 14 era, it might no longer be possible. And we could see cases where thousands and thousands of clicks could be coming from one IP address somewhere in Nigeria, and it would look absolutely fine, and you would have literally no indicators of fraud. The problem here is that fraudsters will use every single tool available in their arsenal in order to trick you and make you believe that what you're seeing is a legitimate, high-quality marketing campaign, and you should scale your spend there. Right now, we anticipate that fraudsters will start using more dynamic IP addresses. They would exploit mobile internet, and they would rely a lot on locations with limited IP range to avoid being detected by anti-fraud solutions. As we see, fraudsters are getting extremely creative and they're trying their best in order to stay under the radar. And I would say that those guys are quite innovative. And as an add-on, I hope that none of those fraudsters are actually watching this. Don't want to give them a head-on. Moving forward, I'd like to speak about a slightly different case. In this example, we'll focus on click or install farming. It's one of the old school fraud types that have been around for a while. And if you remember the screenshot of YouTube where there was a man sitting next to the desk with a number of devices, it's a classic representation of a device farm. In essence, it's a centralized facility where human operator or automated algorithm is able to operate clicks, installs, or simple in-app events in order to claim credit and basically receive the payment for that specific install. Over the past years, we generally saw that the number of device farms operating specifically on iOS market using iOS devices went down due to a number of factors: limited number of devices variability, more expensive devices, etc. But the biggest factor that made this type of fraudulent business model less attractive is the fact that if your device farm is busted, your investment is going nowhere. It would be really, really hard for you to reset your operation and go live again. So if you're busted by anti-fraud solution once, it's pretty much game over for fraudsters. But with IDFA elimination, they would actually have a second chance. Before, the algorithm was quite simple. If we detect farms, we block them, device ID will no longer be trusted, and the farmer can't simply earn money using that specific device, making possible for zombie devices to go and disappear. Analyzing this concept, many fraudsters would evaluate risk to reward ratio and wouldn't invest money in setting up expensive iOS device farms and rather would focus on alternative measures to get money. But with IDFA no longer being in place, it might make things way easier for them. And I could easily imagine when a group of fraudsters is getting busted and one of them telling to another, Jack, we need to reset our IP and fingerprints, restart the farm, and keep going. And there is no guarantee that even if you block installs coming from certain device farm, the next day you might get installs coming from exactly same device farm, and it would be really, really hard to detect and prove it. Basically, new privacy updates would give a second chance to the most old school mobile ad fraud type, which is device farms, that could easily become a huge problem for marketers and definitely would become a preferred choice of a fraud approach for many of those farmers. Moving forward, I'd like to say that not everything looks so bad and there's actually a bright light in the end of tunnel. Apple claims that they will take a more active role in the process of dealing with fraud. And in cases when a completely fake install happens, they would chip in and help developers to identify that install and inform them about this fact. We still don't know how it would look in the end, but Apple shared that they will be checking whenever the user has actually installed the app by visiting Apple Store and would share this data with developers in order to make more accurate optimization decisions. Previously, we had some examples where our clients received an update from Apple that a number of installs were never actually completed and there is no real install happening and there was no login to Apple Store to complete that install. So we believe that it's a very likely scenario and it might really happen this way. Now, finally, we're going to some actionable insights. So what can you do as a marketer to improve your chances and be protected from fraud? And our biggest recommendation would be to be extremely suspicious. We suggest you to investigate strange behavior like good CTR connected with very poor ROI. Establish a harder standards for performance KPIs and change them frequently so fraudsters wouldn't know. Please pay extra attention to click-through rate and conversion rate anomalies in post-install activity. And finally, use all your learnings to incorporate to your UA strategies to prevent fraud and use exclusion lists to eliminate the list of sources where you're getting traffic from. And as an additional hint, Scalar is actually offering a free traffic audit, so you will be able to know exactly how much fraudulent installs you had in the recent time and how much it costs you.
Alrighty.
Finally, I want to wrap up with conclusion. Evan is already giving me a signal that it's time to end. But guys, just key bullet points to sum up the presentation. Be extremely cautious. A lot of new opportunities for fraudsters means a lot of risk for marketers. Less investment would be needed for device farms, and you could see it appearing more and more across the globe as it would be preferred choice by fraudsters. Shadow Ninja transparency mode would be fully on for click spammers, and they potentially have a lot of advantage to remain under the radar. So please pay special attention to your marketing campaigns and observe all the KPIs changes. You could also expect that there would be many new fraud types connected to click hijacking, and we're already developing and seeing many news that we wasn't expecting before. And finally, we'll have Apple by our side trying to help and contribute to the process of fraud detection, so we should be more or less safe. As a bonus, we invested a lot of time in researching this topic, and we prepared for IDFA removal a long time ago. Our system is no longer relying on IDFA in our analysis, and we're trained our ML algorithm for this update. Thank you for your time. Please be cautious, and let's not give fraudsters even a chance.
Thank you so much, Vlad, and thank you again to the Scalar team for sponsoring this. All right, well, we'll move on to our next session. The next one is a fireside chat, life after IDFA. Vlad, he will be in the networking room, and we will meet you all at the next session.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.